but at the same time it plays with the medium of animation in such a beautiful way that it's honestly a masterpiece.
Whoa, is that fucking blackface, dude?
No, this isn't blackface. I'm an actual demon.
Bro, please tell me that's not blackface.
Are you fucking serious?
No! God, please, no! No!
Welcome back to Torn Apart, and we're here today because we're talking about something a bit different. Well, once in a while I stumble upon some old TV shows or some recent TV shows that have kind of been completely forgotten and nobody seems to talk about it online. So I look through YouTube, I look to the Twitter comments as well. I sit there being like, this is amazing. Why is no one talking about it? And of course I'm talking about animated series and specifically about adult-oriented animated series. We're talking about 3 new ones, one of which the second season came out just a year ago, and the 2 other ones which are really fresh, really recent. One came out in February and the other one came out in December, and nobody seems to talk about them, and I feel like it's a bit of a shame. I love animated series, specifically when they have quite an interesting animation style, when they have something to say, and also when they're weird. Let's admit it, I love weird stuff when it comes to animation because I feel like it's the style, it's the medium that gives us the most amount of creative freedom. You can imagine whatever the hell you want, and this is also why when shows like Invincible don't do really well, mostly because they put so much budget in their voice cast instead of, well, paying the animators or even giving more time to the animators to make it better. Well, it pisses me off because animation is worth watching mostly because of that, because it's animated, because it looks nothing like live action. You cannot do it the Netflix way and just create something that is clearly lit like any other show that you've seen before. You actually have to draw every single scene.
Oh, don't cry, Mr. Ketchup. We'll solve this mystery soon. Thank you, Pim.
Smiling Friends, premiering January 9th at midnight.
Have you heard about Smiling Friends? It's a really weird show. It was created by Zach Hadel and Michael Cusack for Adult Swim, of course. Why am I not even surprised that this is Adult Swim? There are 2 seasons and we have 17 episodes in total. The second season came out last year and I found out about it just because my sister recommended it to me. It was available in HBO Max. This is the perfect show for the TikTok generation, and for millennials this is gonna be sometimes even a bit too all over the place. As in, like, do you know the Backrooms? Do you know like those weird horror games like Five Nights at Freddy's that went completely viral mostly because of people playing them online and streaming them on Twitch and stuff like that? This is the show for those kind of people. Like, they try so many different things when it comes to the animation style, and the story itself is so simple and straightforward, but at the same time it's insane. Like, there are so many different things happening on screen that you're like, how is it possible to put so much stuff in just 10 minutes of TV?
Charlie, what just happened?
Because yes, every single episode is actually incredibly short, and actually would you like to know what it is about? It basically follows the misadventures and shenanigans of Charlie Dumpler and Pim Pilming, 2 employees of the Smiling Friends, which is a charitable company dedicated to bringing joy and happiness to its clients. And of course, it's such a weird concept that basically sometimes they're kind of asked to make people smile even though they really don't want to do it. It gets really political at times, and what I love about it is mostly that it's incredibly all over the place. Like, it really feels like one of those shows that has been made on a micro budget. It's like one of those crowdfunding shows where honestly, like, it must have been so hard to pitch it to someone and making them imagine what it would look like and how people would be interested in it as well, because it's just not like Adventure Time. It's not like Midnight Gospel either, but it is kind of boring, that kind of thing where if you're high on mushrooms specifically, or if you took LSD, this is gonna be an insane trip, like, without a doubt. I love the fact that this feels incredibly complex and well animated and drawn, but at the same time it's very simple. If you just look at the different character design, for example, if you look at just the plot structure of every single episode, of course there are like so many different jokes one after the other, so you have to rewatch actually the episodes several times, I'm pretty sure, to make sure that you catch everything, but the thing that we love is also that it's very, very experimental. Every single episode does not look like the previous one, and I feel like there are so many shows now, especially animated shows, that are kind of like attempting to get to the same level of live action TV, meaning that they want to tell a coherent story that we follow from A to Z, and if you miss one episode, you're gonna miss like an important piece of the puzzle. Smiling Friends is not like that at all. It's kind of bringing us back to the Simpsons kind of era where we used to have episodes that star people that we know, that introduce new side characters, and they introduce new lore that might be referenced in the future episodes or seasons, but at the same time, every single episode feels like a complete new adventure, and I really, really love that. Talking about how crazy this show is, let's talk about how many different styles of animation it actually borrows from. So you've got the traditional hand-drawn animation, you've got computer animation, rotoscoping, stop motion, flash animation, and even live action. You literally have some live action characters in the second season, for example, which are like included in the show in like the most weird way possible. There are so many glitches going on with this show where you feel like almost like your TV is gonna explode because of how weird everything going on is. This is definitely a show that you need to pay attention to. This is not one of those shows that like you can keep going in the background like any other like not that serious animated show. You need to look at everything going on screen right now, and I hope that more people get to experience this because it's incredibly weird, and I prefer shows like this right now than to actually Rick and Morty, if I have to be honest, because Rick and Morty has kind of become a parody of itself, and this is a show that is 100% straightforward with what it's trying to say. There are only 2 seasons that I said before, so you can catch it up quite quickly, plus there is a third one coming out.
I want it now!
Let's fast forward in time and talk about a new series that I'm completely obsessed with, and honestly, I think I mentioned it in my Oscars video very briefly. It's called Jentry Chau versus the Underworld, and it's honestly incredible. This is one of those shows that like felt like it was gonna be something that we've seen before. It felt like a Chilling Adventures of Sabrina kind of thing. It felt like Buffy as well. It felt like so many different other things that we've seen in the past, and weirdly enough, it was kind of borrowing from the anime style of storytelling, but also the look of the show as well. It's very, very anime coded. I actually watched it with my sister and I recommended it to her as well, because she's a huge anime fan, and that's mainly why I'm talking about this, because she loved it. So if you're a fan of anime, I'm pretty sure you're gonna love this as well. And if you'd like to know more, let's have a look at the plot. As Jentry's 16th birthday approaches, she discovers the fiery powers she's long suppressed and is forced to face her demons. A Chinese-American teen living in a small Texas town finds out the Demon King is hunting her for the supernatural power she's been working her whole life to repress. It came out on December 2024 and it's only 13 episodes, and it's really funny because by episode 8, by episode 10, I was sitting there being like, there is no way that they're gonna keep going. As in, like, it really felt like the story wrapped up and went to its perfect conclusion, and it just keeps going and going and going and giving you more and more. And I just love the action sequences. I love the characters as well. There are definitely some really dark vibes, and even though this seems to be aimed at teenagers, everyone is going to enjoy this, mostly because of how dark it is, but also of how deeply like set into Chinese culture it is as well. And it's just fascinating. I feel like we haven't done that maybe never before, hunting like demons from the Chinese culture. It's just really incredible, and most of the characters are really easy to get attached to, and I really love the relationship in between the adults and the teenagers because it felt really real. If there is something we can criticize about animated shows, is that very often adults and teens or adults and children have completely different plot lines going on at the same time. If you look at things like Big Mouth, for example, while here we literally have all of them intertwining with each other and people betraying each other, so many different plot twists. You're definitely not gonna see a lot of things coming when you see this show. It was created by Echo Wu, and as I said, it came out in December and I've seen absolutely no one talking about it. This went on Netflix and almost seemed to be buried or disappeared out of nowhere and no one noticed. This is mainly why I wanted to make this video. I feel like the marketing for animated shows is incredibly bad. I feel like we only know when Invincible is coming out and maybe some shows related to Castlevania. And I'm trying to remember if there's been other type of animated shows that have been well marketed, but maybe Scott Pilgrim is the last one that I remember that literally everyone was talking about, and it had so many exciting Twitter moments as well. But besides that, look at even Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty, sometimes it stops for like a mid-season finale, and we don't know that it's back until people start talking about it like 3 or 4 weeks later, like it happened for Invincible in the last season, for example. So I'm sitting there being like, how is it possible that people invest so much money and time into making these amazing animated shows and then they don't put anything into the marketing, which is technically the most important part of the campaign? Because if no one watches it, does it really exist? You could argue that about my channel as well, to be honest. Like, there are so many videos which have not made that many views, and do they actually exist? Like, do they matter if no one has actually watched them? Does my opinion matter as well if no one is actually there to comment on it? It's a very interesting topic of conversation in my opinion, and this is why I wanted to dive deep into these series.
We have a chance here to change the world.
So let's look at the third one right now, right? This is one that came out literally last month. It came out in February and it's called Common Side Effects, and weirdly enough, it's once again on HBO Max. Another season that came and went by and no one talked about it. And the weird thing is that critically, all of these seasons of TV have been incredibly well received. So there are some journalists who are actually watching and reviewing these episodes. It's just that there is the missing step in between journalists talking about it, audiences reading that stuff, and starting the discourse on Twitter. I feel like it never happened. I mean, I wasn't there for the Smiling Friends premiere back in 2022, so it is possible that other people have talked about it and I was just not in it at all. But what about these last two shows that I mentioned? They came out in the last few months/weeks. How is it possible? Common Side Effects is a very, very different show from the two other ones. This is definitely the most mature show. This is actually one of the only TV shows since probably BoJack Horseman that actually felt like adult quality TV. Like, this is a weird conspiracy theory kind of animated show with a very, very realistic like look and tone, but it's also really, really fun. I'm not saying this as in like this is a boring thing that could have been made in live action. I actually don't think so. I think that the animation really works in favor of the story that they're trying to tell. But what is this story? Let's have a look. Two high school friends, Marshall and Francis, reconnect after Marshall discovers the Blue Angel mushroom, a mushroom with healing effects that appears to cure all illnesses. In the process, they also uncover a conspiracy involving Radical Pharmaceuticals, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies, and the government to suppress all knowledge of said mushroom. And I'm gonna try not to spoil this too much, maybe not even show you that much of the trailer, because there are so many different plot twists, so many different people betraying each other at the end of the day, because this really felt like we were watching like a real life documentary just because of how the people felt so real. And this is something that is very topical. We're talking about diseases, we're talking about illnesses, we're talking about, of course, big pharma, and whether there is some kind of conspiracy keeping basically people ill, because of course it creates revenue, it makes people money so that they can sell you drugs, so you can get better a little bit, but you can never actually be cured. It's just a fascinating topic, and I actually haven't seen the whole season. I'm missing like the final episode, but I wanted to come out here and talk about it because honestly it's fascinating, and I love all of these characters as well, and I'm really happy because it's already been greenlit for a second season. It was created by Joseph Bennett and Steve Haley, and you know what? Once again, it's an Adult Swim creation. It has only 10 episodes, so it's very, very bingeable because there are like 20 minutes each. And honestly, this is probably the one that is not gonna be for everyone. I feel like the two other shows, almost anyone could watch them and find something interesting about them. Common Side Effects is very, very American based, and it's also committing quite a lot into looking like a true crime kind of show. So I feel like it's gonna lose quite a lot of people, but honestly, it's fascinating. It's one of the best series of the year already. And I also love the fact that Marshall is our main character here because of the way he looks and because of the way that he behaves. He kind of seems like one of those characters that doesn't really get to be the main character of an action spy conspiracy movie or story just in general, because he's basically always walking around with like this shirt and nothing underneath. He has like long hair, a beard. He kind of looks like a hippie slash redneck, but at the same time he's incredibly clever and he's very, very knowledgeable when it comes to mushrooms and the pharmaceutical companies just in general, big pharma. He's really, really into that. And I love how people like that are also like surrounded by other very colorful characters with very, very loud personalities who you probably don't take seriously unless you pay a little bit more attention and you kind of like stay on that suspension of disbelief a little bit longer. I feel like this is a show about people who usually get labeled as conspiracy theorists, and maybe at the end of the day they're saying actually some true stuff. It's just that because of the way that they look and they present themselves, we don't actually associate them with like scientists and people that we consider to be like clever intellectuals or even politicians or people who work for the government, as in like people that you actually believe in without having to do any kind of double research on Google. I love this show, to be honest, and I love all of the shows that I talked about today. Have you seen any of them? Like, let me know that in the comments, because honestly I've been watching mainly just animated shows for the past few months because there are so many good ones. Like right now I'm watching the new Devil May Cry Netflix series, and I'm also watching a series called Solo Leveling on Crunchyroll, and honestly I'm digging it. Like, I wanna have more animated shows in my life, so if you have more recommendations for me, let me know that in the comments. Maybe I'll make a video about it. Having said that, if you like this video, here down at the bottom, as usual, I'm gonna be putting other videos where I talked about forgotten or hidden animated gems, and here at the top I'm gonna be putting the subject slash topic of my next video, which I actually don't know. I might do something about Last of Us, I'll see, because I played the second game, so I definitely have some interesting stuff to talk about, but maybe we should do like a mid-season kind of like wrap up, right? Anyways, don't forget to smash that like button. Every single time that you do that, you make sure that we get yet another one of these incredible animated shows.
Can I count on you?
So give some love to all the animators out there who put so much effort into creating these incredible stories. I'm Patrick, and this is Torn Apart.
Back in the 90s, I was in a very famous TV show.
Can we watch something else?
It's about to get really good. It's about to get really good. Trust me.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da.